All right. Episode 1 of the Twin Knicks podcast, This Week Inside the Knicks. I am the Objective Fan, your host, straight out of Kings County, New York City's finest. You know the vibes. Now, this podcast is a very, very special podcast. It's going to grow. I'm starting out, doing it myself. And this podcast, I'm going to give a brief description of what it is about. So this podcast is about literally documenting the Knicks 365 every year going forward for as long as I decide to do this. Now, what makes this podcast unique is that if you're a Knicks fan and you're busy, you're traveling, you're doing whatever you want to, and you can't watch all the games or you can't engage on social media to get updates, all you gotta do is listen to this podcast once a week. I record every Friday night, and I look to drop the podcast maybe Monday mornings, Sunday mornings. I gotta figure out what day I'm gonna drop it. So you don't have to watch all the games if you can. And if you want to figure out what's going on, or even if you want to come back and look backwards in history, this podcast is the place to do that. I got a lot of notes here, and we have an action-packed show. So right now I'm doing this podcast myself, but I am looking for a co-host. So if you are interested in helping me do this podcast, be a co-host, send me an email at info@theobjectiveknicksfan.com. Basically, the website is listed below. And all you have to do is just send an email to info@theobjectiveknicksfan. This week's episode 1, we'll be covering September 2nd to the 8th. This is the off-season edition. So I try to capture everything between Saturday to Friday within the week. And this is the off-season edition. So, and also to catch up on June, because I'm starting now, I also, the other months that pass, I will be doing June on this episode, July on the next episode, and then August on the next episode, and then we'll be fully up to date going forward. So people who want to know what happened early in the off season, we could talk about a lot of interesting rumors that never came true. We're going to get to, and like I said, the notes, because there may be things that I won't discuss, but that might be noteworthy. So you just go to the website. All of the show notes will be on the website. So literally, you can find out what happened each week, every day in Knicks history going forward. I'm documenting it. Okay, so that's what this podcast is geared to. All right, so let's start off with the games, right? Because we are blessed to have some World Cup basketball. Okay, so let's talk about the games, right? So we're gonna start off with round 2. In round 2, the United States they lost to Lithuania. And of course, the reason why we're talking about World Cup basketball is because we have 4 Knicks that was playing in World Cup. But of course, Fournier played for France, and they were eliminated early in the tournament. But we have Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, and then R.J. Barrett for Canada. So we're going to be talking about Team USA and Canada. So they lost to Lithuania 104-110. And in this game, Brunson didn't shoot the best. Hart didn't really do much either, but he only played 13 minutes. And realistically, people try to blame Josh Hart, who's listed on ESPN.com as a 2-guard. That's interesting. But he was playing the power forward, so they tried to blame Josh Hart, saying that he was too small. But he only played 13 minutes. I was arguing with guys all day about this in the groups. But Josh Hart only played 13 minutes. They was out-rebounded, 27-43. And Josh played 13 minutes. So it's not his fault. Steve Kerr is a stubborn coach. He likes to play small. And that came back to hurt them in this tournament, I feel, once they went up against bigger teams. I'm going to move on to Canada. So with Canada against Spain, this was a big, This game right here was one of the best games in the tournament. It went down the stretch, down the wire. And let me tell you something. This was a solid game from RJ, man. He had 16, 5 rebounds, helped his team the best way he can. But I mean, SGA was carrying the team. He had 30. And, RJ has been doing his job. He's kind of been the second guy on this team, though. Dillon Brooks, also, who had 22, has had a lot of good scoring games as well. And Dillon Brooks guards the best defenders. But RJ Barrett has kind of been like the Scottie Pippen to SGA's Michael Jordan role on the team. And they managed to win this game. This was a big win because it enabled them to move forward in the tournament. If they would have lost this game, they wouldn't have made it to the next round, which was the knockout round. So we're gonna jump in. Nothing here. I mean, USA, Italy. I mean, this was a blowout. Stats don't matter in a blowout. Everybody did their part. Nothing to really talk about there. Let's move on. So then we had Canada versus Slovenia. This was the game against Luka. This was an amazing contest here. So let's pull up RJ's stats. He had 24. This was another solid performance. Like I said, he kind of is in this Scottie Pippen role. He had a couple of games when he wasn't shooting well, but then he had games like this game wasn't his most efficient game. He went 1 for 6 from downtown, but he was on the money for 2 pointers, and he also had 9 rebounds, and he also helped Team Canada advance out of the knockout round against Luka. Let's pull up Luka. Luka had 26, and he and Dillon Brooks got ejected for different reasons. Dillon Brooks was ejected for taunting, and Luka was ejected because he was complaining over a call, and that was the end of Slovenia at that point. But RJ, another great game. RJ really stepped up his performances down the stretch. The medal round, which are the games on Friday, February 8th. Of course, Serbia beat Canada and U.S. lost, and this will set up the matchup between Canada and USA. Now, when you look at this game, RJ again had another great game. He had 23 points, 3 rebounds. He was very solid. 8 of 14 from the field. I think that was the most impressive thing about RJ was that he stepped up his play towards the end of the tournament. So then in the next week's episode, we'll cover the Canada-USA game. That game should be a lot of fireworks. And so I just wanted to cover the FIBA games. So normally on this podcast, when the season starts, we will highlight the games first. So, all of the regular season games and playoff games or whatever games is the in-season tournament. We're going to talk about this Germany loss. Team USA lost by 2 points. We're going to talk about that. Now, this game was really interesting because a lot of people put the blame on Jalen Brunson. And what I could remember from this game is that Jalen Brunson had a solid first, and he was having a solid fourth quarter until Steve Kerr pulled him out the game. And he went with Halliburton, which in my opinion didn't do well. Now, I don't know why ESPN is not showing the correct plus minus, but I believe Jalen Brunson was a negative 19. And listen, I'm somebody I don't like too many advanced stats. I think many of them are pointless. People look at plus minus and don't realize it's more of a team stat than it is just the individual stats, because it's your what the team does, the point differential of the team that you're on the floor with. So it's not just you, it's what your team does. So you could be killing and lighting up the floor, but your plus minus will be negative because the other guys on the team, you guys are not securing the lead and you guys are not doing your part. But that's not an individual performance, right? I think Halliburton might have had the highest plus minus on this team, right? But look at what he did. Look at his numbers. He didn't really do much. I mean, he got the 8 assists, but down the stretch, his defense wasn't all there. And to be honest, I mean, Germany had 3 20-point scorers, and Schroeder wasn't one of them. And Schroeder had 9 assists and was doing his thing, and they couldn't keep him out the paint. So people tried to, take shots at Brunson, like, oh, he let a guy like Os, this guy right here, score 24. But what they don't realize is that Os wasn't the only guy to score. Dice. What was the excuse with Dice? Brunson wasn't guarding Dice, right? And what was the excuse with Franz Wagner, who was really killing us too? Brunson wasn't guarding Wagner. So Brunson, to me, possibly could have helped USA down the stretch. It was a close game. Josh Hart, he was solid. 5 rebounds. He went 4 for 4 from the field, 9 points. Josh Hart had a really good third quarter, and Steve Kerr didn't play him in the fourth. I mean, Josh Hart rarely plays in the fourth. So can't really blame the Knicks for this loss. A lot of people like to. In terms of the size thing, I mean, the rebounds was close. 30 to 28. So they didn't get out rebounded. But I just want to also point this out. Jaren Jackson, who is the center on his team, only has 3 rebounds. He was averaging like 2.8 rebounds for the whole tournament. Josh Hart was leading the team in rebounds. So we're gonna move on from the games, but I just want to say that the Knicks did what they had to do. I feel RJ, especially RJ, stepped up his play as we see multiple 20-point games, even high efficiency games, 8 of 14 from the field. And, Brunson and Hart kind of got the flack for Team USA's bad performances, but I don't blame them for that. So let's move on. That was the game's feature. So let's pull up news and topics. So we're going to start off with Evan Fournier, his World Cup. Now, salute to Evan Fournier. He had a really great tournament. Multiple 20-point games. His shooting is impressive. Dangerous shooter. You can't leave him open. He's in the position where last season, and I always felt like the Knicks made a mistake. Not last year, the year before last year, when they signed Fournier and Kemba. I said that it's not going to work because between them two, RJ and Randle, you're going to have 4 guys that needs the ball in their hands to be effective. So when they did that, I knew that it wasn't going to work. And then last year with Coach Tibbs, he was able to pretty much get a lot of plays he likes, like when they did the Josh Hart trade, moving Reddish, playing Grimes, even Deuce getting some minutes, right? Tibbs was in a position where, okay, we got some two-way players on this team. Let me give the minutes to those guys. So Evan Fournier, even though he's a really good shooter, just does not fit in the plans. So after a disappointing World Cup run, Fournier returns to facing the harsh reality of a waning NBA career. His future continues to hang in the balance as he remains with the Knicks, despite their attempts to trade him this offseason. As you know, it's not in my hands. If the Knicks want to keep me, I have to stay. I don't think that's happening, buddy. If they want to trade me, I'll have to go. That's what he told Eurohoops. But I think I did a short on the channel. Just go to my channel, The Objective Knicks Fans. If you're listening to this podcast, I drop videos, multiple videos a week, and I talk about certain events like this. And I spoke about the fact that, Fournier, he should have been called out the Knicks. He should have been told the Knicks that, hey, I need to play. He stood the course. And then the team wound up going to the second round. So at that point, it's like, because I'm a Knicks fan, not a man stan, I give the value to the team over the player any day. Let's see. I would be shot if Fournier told L Equip, I'm going to be traded. It's not possible otherwise, or I'll be stuck. And so would they. They have several players with big contracts coming in, unless they want to pay crazy luxury tax. If I stayed, no, sir. I did a video on that. The Emmanuel Quickly video. Go check that out. I broke that down. No, the Knicks are not in the luxury. They're below the luxury tax line, so no luxury tax if he stays. They actually can hold him to next season or even to the deadline. So no, there's no luxury tax. If I stayed, it would be a disaster basketball-wise for my career. That's true. But this other luxury tax part, no, they can actually keep Fournier and not even, they could actually have him, separate from the team. I think that's what's going to be. Yeah, I think that if they don't trade him, but I do think they're going to trade him. But if they don't trade him, he's going to separate from the team. Okay, this is an interesting topic here. Quentin Grimes versus Josh Hart. I actually did a poll on this on the channel as well. That's one good thing about the channel. I do polls every day, so and you can answer the polls because I like to see how the people feel. And before I continue, you know what? I'm gonna put this on the screen. I was kind of because I don't beg for donations, but if you do want to send a donation, you can to the Objective Fan on Cash App. I would appreciate it. I'll leave that there for a while. Probably won't leave it the whole episode, but that's fine. I just want to leave it for the people that want to support. All right. So as far as this Quentin Grimes versus Josh Hart, I want to know, what do you guys think? So wherever platform you're watching this on, please let me know in the comments who you think should start. I honestly believe that Josh Hart should start. And especially if you keep it quickly, because Josh Hart is going to give you everything you need and crash the glass out of Grimes. Grimes is a terrific three-point shooter, possibly a better three-point shooter than Hart. But Hart can knock down the three ball. He's not a better rebounder than Hart. And I think defensively, they're kind of on the same level. So I just think Hart is a better fit starting. Doesn't need to be the ball to be effective. And you have Grimes off the bench with IQ and DiVincenzo. I think that's just the better fit. I mean, let's see what they're talking about here. According to the Cleaning Glass, Grimes in the lineup of starters registered a plus 1.6 Next rating, while Hart generated a plus 18.1 rating. The lineup with Hart was one of the best lineups in the league last season. Okay. All right. Net rating. If you care about net rating, Grimes has done nothing wrong to be demoted here, as he's coming off a fine season as a fine first season as a full-time starter with the Knicks. Bleacher Report, Greg Schwartz writes that including Grimes on a list of starters who should come off the bench, an ideal 3-and-D wing at 6'5", who averaged 11.9 points and made 38.6% of his threes. Yeah, I think he's a better percentage shooter than Hart, and played good defense in his last 66 season. His last 66 starts last season. Grimes did everything New York asked. A move to the bench has nothing to do with Grimes' play and everything to do with the level of success the Knicks have with Josh Hart. I agree with that. I think it should go to Hart. It has nothing to do with this net. Listen, I'm not an advanced stat guy. I mean, I'm not saying that the net rating is not important. It's just that, hey, I know one thing. Quentin Grimes didn't close a lot of games, right? He spent a lot of games off the bench, especially when Hart got there. So that's why I don't really care. But let's move forward. If you want to read more of this is the Sports Illustrated, Knicks Fan Nation. I guess that's like a platform within there. You can check it out. Salute to them. So let's move forward. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Give me a second. I just noticed something. Glad I caught this now. This is the first episode. Got a little kinks, but we're going to move forward. Pal, you should see it now. All right, so now we're on the window. Okay. Perfect. Let's see. All right, we get to this. When does training camp start? So training camp starts on September 27th for the teams playing in preseason games outside of North America. It says New America. The day before players for said teams will be allowed to report. Well, this is fan-sided, so salute to them. Veteran players for teams not participating in preseason games will be allowed to report on October 2nd. So, okay. All right. So if they're outside of America, then it starts on September 27th. If they are not going overseas, then October 2nd. I don't think the Knicks are going overseas. Hold on, I got the Knicks schedule here somewhere. Maybe make a special editor note on the website. I don't know where my schedules are. I got my Knicks schedule and my Jets schedule. Looking forward to Monday Night Football with the Jets too against the Bills. That's going to be crazy. Oh, this is just regular season. I don't have preseason. Yeah, I don't really care about preseason games. Preseason games to me are just to see who makes the team for the final spots. I don't think we go overseas, right? And then the rosters have to be set on October 20th. Okay, so that's because when you go into preseason, you have more than the 14 players. So some teams carry like as many as 20. So you have to trim that down by the 20th. Okay. Former Nick that's still a free agent, Ryan Arcidiacono. I think I got that right. I'm not the best with names, but he's still a free agent. Um, um, I don't think the Knicks need to bring him back. I wish him the best of luck. Let's move forward. Okay, so guess what? For all my 90s Knicks fans, Toni Kukoc says the Knicks is the toughest team the Bulls face. That's a fact. It's a big fact. And it has nothing to do with Toni Kukoc saying that, right? It's a fact. The Knicks took the Bulls to the brink more than any team in the East did. I mean, the Bulls didn't go to Game 7 in the finals, but against the Knicks, they were going to Game 7. Yes, they were going to Game 7. And so, let's see if we could get a quote. So, New York Knicks with Patrick Ewing, Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason, and Charles Smith were the toughest to face up against the Bulls. Yes, yes. Bulls Hall of Famer Toni Kukoc. The Knicks were always the toughest for me. Everybody knows that era of basketball was so physical. That's a fact. Big fact. I mean, you're talking about 95? 95? No, 94 is when the Knicks made it to the finals and actually beat the Bulls, right? 93, that's the year when they had Xavier McDaniel and those guys, and they also took them to the brink and played hard. I'm trying to think what other Knicks teams was there. A lot of those Knicks teams. I mean, every Knicks team was tough. I mean, that was the core right there. Ewing, Oakley, Starks. Mason was there too, but just not for the late '90 run. But those Knicks teams really battled. I mean, it was a fight, and during those times, you could play physical. You could literally beat Jordan up. Matter of fact, listen. When you listen to the objective fan, I'm more than a fan. I always say my motto is I am a fan moonlighting. I'm a fan moonlighting as a journalist. Let me because I actually have notes on the '90s Knicks. I was doing some research because for the early '90s I was kind of young, but the late '90s I was old enough to remember everything that went on. A lot of history. I'm just looking through my notes, but the bottom line is this: that '93 team was tough. Of course, the '94 team that beat them. '97 Knicks. '98. That's when Ewing broke his wrist, and then '99. '99. There was no Bulls, but just a quick rundown. So, if I hope I took you down memory lane, and like I said, if you want to co-host and give me some back and forth on this podcast, I would appreciate it. But yeah, Toni Kukoc was right. The Knicks was the toughest. If I had to pick a second team for the Bulls, I want to say Indiana. I think Indiana was tough in the '90s. Um, the Heat came on in the late '90s. Uh, yeah, the Heat came on in the late '90s, and we beat the Heat. Most of the time. So the Bulls didn't even get a chance to see the Heat. They only played the Heat that one year in the East Finals. So we got 3 unanswered questions for the Knicks next season. Let's see. Is Evan Fournier playing for the team? We talked about that. Doesn't really have to be traded. I mean, you know what I honestly believe? I believe that the Knicks are looking to add him to a deal, like a big deal. Because his little 17, 18 million could be cushioned if they were to trade for a superstar, right? The Emmanuel Quickly extension, we still waiting on that. I did a video on that, like I said earlier. Check it out. I said that because, look, I am the objective Knicks fan. I'm not a man stan. I am a Knicks fan. Every player that's on the Knicks, I've been a Knicks fan since before they were born. Maybe with the exception of D Rose. But every other Knick besides D Rose, I've been a Knicks fan since before they were born. So that means I was a Knicks fan before you were even alive, but before you got to the team, I was a Knicks fan. And after you leave, guess what? I'm going to be a Knicks fan. I propose that the Knicks trade Emmanuel Quickly. Let me scroll down because it's behind my big head. Because they're asking the question, where is the extension? I asked that question. And I said that for me, the nail in the wall, we'll just say that, is the fact that they signed Donte DiVincenzo. And then they gave Josh Hart his 1-year extension for $12 million. It was a team option. And then 2 days later, they gave him his 4-year, $81 million. That's something that Quickly was looking forward to. So that tells me that if the Knicks were interested in giving Quickly that extension, they would have gave it to him. Because the difference between RJ last year and Quickly this year is that we actively know the Knicks were actually trading for a superstar. This year, we don't really have no reports of any superstar trade. Everything that we have is just a rumor. Someone saying this, that, and the third plays the top. We're going to get these rumors later, but we don't really have nothing of substance when it comes to that. So that is the question. Because we got to October to see what happens. I don't think he's going to be extended by then. Why? Okay, so there's, I believe it was Ian Begley. I could be wrong. But he was breaking down perfectly why the Knicks possibly are avoiding to extend Quickly, especially if they're looking to trade him. Because, okay, so right now he's making like $4 million a year, right? And if they were to trade Emmanuel Quickly's contract, it would just be that $4 million, right? However, if they were to give him his extension, right? Let's say they give him a 4-year, $80 million extension, right? So when they go to trade Quickly, at that point, it would be the average yearly salary of all those years combined. So you would take the $4 million and then the 4 years, 20, and you would average those out. And the average contract from that would be what the outgoing trade would be, thus making it actually harder to pull off a deal because now more money has to be committed to Emmanuel Quickly's contract. I thought that was a brilliant breakdown. Okay, so that's possibly the reason why he's not extended as well. And then is an efficient RJ real? I mean, well, we just went through FIBA. I know FIBA is FIBA. It's not the NBA. And let's see. It's not the NBA, right? And so I'm not saying that that's necessarily a precursor for what's to come. I mean, RJ can have another year like last year where he wasn't that efficient or up and down, hot and cold. But what I will say is this. The way RJ turned it up in the tournament and started scoring with more efficiency does make me optimistic for what to expect this season. I think RJ will step up his efficiency this year, and I'm not worried about it. I think that RJ can answer that question. Now, the other two questions remain a mystery until next year. Let's see. I did a short on my channel talking about this. So, former QU basketball player named in a major NBA lawsuit. So the Knicks are right now in an active lawsuit against the Toronto Raptors because of this guy here. Let's read. The Knicks organization filed a lawsuit in the Southern District of New York on August 21st, accusing the then Knicks employee of emailing thousands of pages of confidential documents to Raptors employees, right? The Knicks former employee, Ikichi Wu, or Iki Azotam, I'm sorry, it's not an American name, as the ex-employee in the lawsuit, right? The Raptors organization, prior to suit, began recruiting Azotam in June 2023 before officially offering him the job the following month. The lawsuit claims the Raptors head coach, Darko Rajakovic, the player development coach, Noah Lewis, and 10 unknown Raptors employees then conspired to use Azotam's position as the current Knicks insider to tunnel proprietary information to the Raptors to help them organize, plan, and structure the new coaching and video operations staff. Wow, that's one hell of an allegation. In a statement, Toronto Raptors owner Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment denied having any involvement in the matters alleged, which is possibly true. Because if it's the coach and those employees named that are the ones that conspired to get this done, then of course ownership has no idea. You know what I'm saying? So them saying that, having any alleged involvement, I mean, you can take that with a grain of salt. The big guys are not going to know about it. It's the little guys at the bottom trying to organize things because they got a guy coaching, right, who never coached in the NBA before. So they're trying to get him established, right? Let's see. MLSE responded promptly, making clear our intention is to conduct an internal investigation and to fully cooperate. The statement read, MLSE and the Toronto Raptors will reserve further comments until this matter has been resolved to the satisfaction of both parties. The Knicks alleged that between late July and mid-August, Azotam, whose employment agreement with the Knicks contained a confidentiality clause, bingo. Hey, if you have proprietary information, you can't share that. He used his Knicks email account to share proprietary information, first with his personal email account and then subsequently with the Raptors. Wow. Okay, so the suit alleges that there's 3,000 files and documents, including scouting reports and play frequency reports. Okay. Wow. 2 emails the Knicks specifically described in the lawsuit had the subject lines F forward Indiana game 82 and forward Denver advanced scouting report. In these emails, Azotam allegedly shared with the Raptors scouting reports of the Indiana Pacers and the Denver Nuggets. Hundreds of diagrams and breakdowns of each team plays, spreadsheets documenting each team's plays called during specific games. Wow, this is really detailed. From both of my experience and conversations with the others around the league, suggests that showing up with plenty of examples of past work is extremely commonplace. Former Milwaukee Bucks director of basketball research, Chef Hart, now tweeted, for the most part, information contained in such samples gets stale pretty quickly. So it's more about the form of the report, document or two, rather than the content. Oh, okay, I see it now. So it's more of the context versus the content. Okay. The lawsuit shines a particular spotlight on scouting reports Azotam allegedly forwarded the Raptors, noting that such documents are widely recognized in all major sports leagues as some of the most secretive and important pieces of proprietary information. Wow. The Knicks stated in a lawsuit that organizations' insiders threat security of team discovered the file theft in mid-August. Wow. An investigation of the Knicks records subsequently revealed that the Raptors defendants had accessed the team's files thousands of times, according to the lawsuit. Ooh. This material is confidential, competitively sensitive, and valuable to the Knicks. The suit states, the Knicks have been harmed by this theft and will continue to be harmed if this misconduct is not enjoined by this court. I feel like this guy, Azotam, sorry if I'm butchering the name. I just, it's not an American name, but what are you thinking? All right, so we know that the Toronto Raptors is a rival of the Knicks, right? Being that they're in the same division, and it's like they don't get along, right? Not a crazy rivalry like Boston or Miami or not like that, but still a rivalry nonetheless because we're in the same division. However, it is the NBA. It's not like he took the fouls and went overseas to a different league. You're going to another team in the same league. So I don't understand if he thought that it will be okay if he took the fouls with him. Like that's just that is madness, bro. Like I feel like if what the Knicks are alleging is true, he needs to be held fully accountable. And I think he should be banned from the league. And the NBA is going to have to do something. And I think the NBA will. I think the NBA will. That's crazy. I did a short on this. You can check it out on the channel. And I probably will be doing more videos on this because this is an ever-evolving story. And, of course, we'll cover it in the podcast, whatever news comes from it, because we cover everything 365 Knicks. Okay? Let's get to the next one. Stephen A., another guy we're going to be talking a lot about. First off, salute to Stephen A. He's a mentor of mine, and I never met him. I just follow his career since the beginning, and he is number one in his craft, and he deserves to be respected. And so, salute to Basketball Network. They caught this quote. I seen when he said this in real time. So the quote is, "I believe he's in the market he don't want to be in." And that Stephen A. Smith suggests Zion Williams would be more locked in if he was in New York. I agree with that. I agree with that. Let's see. I don't think he cares, Stephen A. Smith has said about Zion. I'm not saying he doesn't care. I'm talking about that fire, the passion, because I believe he's in the market he don't want to be in. I believe that if he was in New York or someplace where he really, really want to be, we see a more dedicated Zion to his physicality. I tell you what, if Zion was in New York, the fans being as cruel and and the media being as cutthroat and ruthless as it is, he wouldn't go a day without hearing it. Like, listen, I'm not saying that no other city has pressure, right? Don't get that twisted. But what I will say is this. There's a different type of pressure in New York City. Different type of pressure. Different. Everything is different in New York City. And I also believe that the Knicks have the best training staff. I believe the regiment that he would be on would be the most beneficial towards his career. I do think he would be better off in New York. I think New York has everything he needs from the training and even just like the Knicks PR staff also has a really great PR. Like the Knicks don't hear too many controversies when it comes to the Knicks. You don't. And and that's because of the PR policy that the Knicks have. I agree with that. What do you guys think? Do you think Zion would be better off? I mean, he's putting in work this offseason. I ain't gonna lie. This offseason, he really looks incredible. Let's see if I can. These are some images of Zion. See, he looks in shape. I agree with Stephen A. Smith. I don't agree with Stephen A. Smith all the time. Listen. I don't agree with that man all the time, but this time. Okay, so we're gonna talk about John Starks in this next one. So John Starks, and I'm sorry, I'm not dating these articles. I'm supposed to do that. Sorry. This is the first episode. We're gonna tighten this up. So on September 5th, John Starks, he talked about LeBron James when compared to, Michael Jordan. And he says he actually thinks that he intentionally hurt his legacy. And because he switched too many teams, Jordan played for two franchises while LeBron. First off, all right, I want to talk about that. Jordan played for two franchises. Jordan played for one franchise. He when he played for the Wizards, that was because he had the itch to play. He should have probably stayed retired, to be honest. And he owned the Wizards. He was part owner, working in front office, was an executive. That don't really count. LeBron is a player, active player, going on 21 seasons. And so LeBron switching teams to me is different from Jordan playing with two teams, right? So let's read from a little bit. And here's another thing I noted too, like with players, like so their era is always going to be the best. I don't think you're going to see, or more than likely, you won't see a player giving props to another era that isn't before their era. Like you possibly won't see a guy from the 90s give more props to now. You probably won't see that. Right? It's just people like to glorify the past or their era. If they could see it. Whatever they could see, they glorify. So LeBron is hurting his legacy by switching NBA teams so much that it will affect his standing when it comes to LeBron versus Jordan debates. Mike didn't move around. He played against the best. He felt like he didn't need to go chase players to join his team to beat the best because he felt like he was the best. And I think that's the difference. I think that's possibly going to hurt LeBron when we look at it in the perspective against Michael, Bird, and Magic. Those guys stayed with one team and they won with that team. That's a solid point. I actually kind of agree with that. I do think that LeBron ring chased. I think that the Miami move was a ring chase. The Cleveland move was all right. Because he went back to his hometown team, the team that drafted him to bring a championship there. I think that's possibly his most honorable ring. The last ring, people call it the bubble ring. I mean, it still counts, but listen, he went to the Lakers to chase rings because he knew that the Lakers would be able to get him the talent that he needs to win. And they did that with the bubble ring. Let's see. Is there anything else? Okay, yeah. See, they say they co-signed it. He's chasing rings, going the decision that's to Miami for those who may not know. So let's move on. Let's see. Power rank. Okay. Great. No, not power rankings. We're gonna go to Randle. Where does Randle rank amongst the bigs? And salute to Sports Illustrated. Hey, if you guys are looking for someone, I can write. I can do everything. I went to school for this. I went to St. John's University. I got a bachelor's degree in communications, and I have a minor in sports management. So salute to all these publications, just letting you know that, hey, I'm here. So where does he rank? All right, where does Julius Randle rank? On that list, Randle listed at 6'8", 250. He ranked number 15 among the NBA bigs, ahead of some names like San Antonio's rookie sensation Wemby. He didn't play a game yet. And Rudy Gobert. I mean, talk about France. Rudy Gobert, man. Oh my Lord, no comment. He's one of those three players that average at least 25, 10, and 4, along with the MVP and then Giannis. Randle impacts the game in the number of areas before the love with the three ball, of course. Well, I mean, he hits them. He's hitting them threes. So these are the power rankings for coming into the season. This is by the way, this is the Knicks roster prospect rankings. And this is done by Bleacher Report. Salute to Bleacher Report. I use them a lot to source my videos. So this is the bottom tier, the bottom of the roster. Of course, they got a picture of Evan Fournier. I don't know why. Oh, because he is in the bottom tier. Okay. Okay, so this is the bottom tiers. The Quan Jeffries, who had a really good summer league game, and they pulled him from the rest of the tournament because of that game. Isaiah Roby, number 13. They was thinking that he could be the backup to Obi, maybe. I don't know. Miles McBride, I disagree. I think Miles McBride would be number 11, and Fournier would be number 12 because McBride overtook Fournier. Okay. And then Jericho Sims is number 10. I agree. I think Jericho Sims is the 10th guy on the team. Middle tier, Harstein. I agree. DiVincenzo. He didn't play for the Knicks yet. Could possibly move up ahead of Grimes. Um, but yeah, Donte DiVincenzo, Grimes, Hart for sure. I'm cool with Hart. I honestly I think Hart should be 5. Hart should be 5. I think that sorry. Hart what he was able to help the Knicks do, maybe we don't get to the second round if it's not for Josh Hart. Defense and just everything he brings to the table, rebounds. He played in the playoffs like he's been there before. So I would move Hart up to the fifth spot. And then they got Quickly at 5. Um I would put Quickly at 6. Mitch at 4, of course. He's a starter. And then yeah, the big 3. Okay. So yeah, that's the hey, if you agree or disagree with any of these points, let us know in the comments, and we're moving forward because we're getting close to the hour mark, so we're about to get into our lightning round. Uh, so let's see. Okay, I had an article here about Emmanuel Quickly's future, but we don't have to worry about that because we touched on it quickly already. His contract. I'm gonna go back to the month of June. I'm gonna do a speed run. If you give me a second, I'll pull it up. Feel free to, send a donation if you want. Cash apps on the screen. We this is the first episode. And I got a lot more coming. I'm gonna talk about some of the things that happened in June to catch up. So this is the off season podcast. Okay, so Bob Myers, why they won't lure Bob Myers. This actually came out to be true. Because Scott Perry left the team this year, which was crazy. Because Scott Perry, he was doing all the picks and all of that, and Ian Begley said it's not happening. I can't see Myers taking a job where he is in the top basketball executive, which he didn't take the job. In New York, he'll be working under Leon Rose, facts, and Vice President William Wesley. Yeah, so and the salary he wants big money. So that didn't happen, and this was in June. Paul George, I did a video on this. I did multiple videos on this. First off, what do you guys think honestly of a Paul George trade? And let me give you some more insight. Paul George wanted a 4-year, $220 million deal to go with the deal. So they were saying that was a rumored deal. They had conversations, whatever. And we know that it didn't go through because Leon Rose is smart. He didn't want to give him the 4-year, 220. I mean, this is a guy that's played under 50 games or 52 games the last 4 years. And he's due for a pretty big extension. He's 33 years old. He was injury prone. I'm not doing that deal. So no. Let's see. Okay, so this is a June article. Knicks and B rumors. Keep an eye out on the Knicks. Yeah, so nothing yet. This is June 26th, right before free agency. And Embiid is interesting because it's all on Harden right now. And it's a situation with Harden and Daryl Morey, and Harden calling him a liar. And if they trade Harden for someone who Embiid is not happy, then maybe Embiid wants out. And they're saying that in that scenario, the Knicks would be one of those guys. No, I don't want to talk about OG Anunoby. He's a guy who I wanted, but he's due for his extension, and he has a player option. So unless he's committed to re-signing or he re-signs with Toronto, I'd stay away from the OG trade. This was a rumor, which actually came true because the Knicks wound up signing DiVincenzo. This was on June 23rd. Donovan Mitchel, they said that he sounds like he wants to play for the Knicks. I don't really care. I mean, look, man, if he wants to come to New York, he'll come to New York. I just don't like the constant back with the, yeah, who doesn't like the Garden? Yeah, he's talking about the Garden. People, they're running, still the fan side, but yeah. Let's see, Kristaps. Oh my God. I am glad that this didn't happen. KP, who after this was June 2nd. This was really early. After this, he gets traded to Boston for Marcus Smart, a big 3-way deal, right? Multi-team deal. And then shortly after that, it's discovered he has plantar fasciitis. We dodged the bullet. So this is June. There's more things that happened in June. Like I said, I'll post it on the website so you can check it out, all of the June notes. There's some rumors. Let's see. Then I'm gonna wrap it up. More in James Harden stuff. So the rumor, I'll get it on the screen for you. The rumor is that now James Harden wants to be traded to the Knicks, and the Knicks are supposedly interested. Do you guys really believe this? Yeah, you guys can see it. Do you guys really believe this? Like, why would we trade for James Harden? Yo, whoa. So that's a rumor there. If you want to read it, I'll put the link because we're at that hour mark. Yeah, and there's another article talking about, I think it was the Clippers and the Knicks. I hope he goes to the Clippers. we don't. No, I want Embiid. So trade him to the Clippers, and we'll take Embiid. So this has been. I'll switch. Let's switch. So this has been a wonderful first podcast. Thanks for supporting the channel. I do appreciate it. You can send a donation. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on IG, TikTok. The name is all the same, The Objective Knicks Fan. Twitter, it's T Objective Fan, but I'm doing something different with Twitter. But everywhere else is The Objective Fan. So that's the first thing you can do. The next thing you can do, if you want, you could donate. And then definitely go check out theobjectiveknicksfan.com, website listed below. I also have a merchandise store. So if you're a Knicks fan, you want merch, I'll probably drop the commercial in the podcast. And that's all for this video. This has been a really good first episode. I kept it within 15 minutes of an hour. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope that, you're going to continue to check it out. I hope that it was everything you thought it would be. And just remember, if you can't keep up with the Knicks 365, we do it for you. All you have to do is subscribe, check out the content, go to the website. Everything is there. One page, one place, one podcast, 1 hour. 1 hour, you get everything Knicks. And that's all. So until next time, let's go Knicks. Check out the brand new, hottest Knicks fan store on the net. Shopped at theobjectiveknicksfan.com. And we got the brand new I Bleed orange and blue t-shirts. We got them in white. We got them in black. Shop now on the website to get yours t-shirt now. We have them in all sizes. We have them from small to 3X. We also got the hate disseminated by naysayers and how mad it inspires players to push forward. Rep your team this offseason with style and pride. And you can get your shirts now. We will be launching a 10% discount. So get yours now, exclusively on shop.theobjectiveknicksfan.com.